Welcome. Thank you guys. Here we are. Amazing. The man himself, Jamie Kennedy. I couldn't believe it is he deigned to join me on an interview. And here we are. I'm on the floor, coming to you not live, but recorded from the floor. I've got a pillow fort over here. Jamie's going to be spending the night with me in that pillow fort later tonight. Maybe not. That sounds a little weird. But Jamie Kennedy, thank you so much for coming on.
Of course, bro. Thank you for having me, man. Been watching your stuff for many years.
Wow.
You go deep dives.
We do
I would
the
say when the rabbit hole, when they say go down the rabbit hole, you're close to the bottom. Would you not say that? You're
I'm
like
right.
right there.
There's me and then there's Satan, like right there, basically at the bottom of the yeah, exactly. I mean, it's like the pit of evil right there. So, this is surreal for me. You probably hear people say this to you being badass comedy man. Like I remember being a kid, I remember watching you and watching Jamie Kidding experiment and watching pranks and watching, and it's just like I sometimes when I do these kinds of interviews, I'm like, is this a dream? Is this CERN? Are we in an alternate thing? Because I feel like I'm still a kid watching you on TV and now I'm talking to you. So it just doesn't seem real to me. It's
I'm
crazy.
right here. I
Wow.
appreciate that. Yeah, no, man. Yeah.
You
Yeah, I
look like
appreciate that.
you were either out doing target practice or you just got out of shop class with those glasses. Are those blue blockers? What's going on?
No, I don't know. I don't know. I've been wearing because I go to this get coffee, and so sometimes if I wear glasses, maybe someone. It's not like I get bugged a lot, but just enough to change my face that somebody might. So, but sometimes people recognize me and ask me a question if I don't want to deal with people.
I
So,
see.
but I look different. But no,
So
I
it's
don't
the
know. That's how
celebrity
crazy.
hiding thing, right? So like Tom Coombe, right? Like Tom Coombe has to like wear his hat like down over his face when he's
Boom.
jogging. Yeah.
Yeah,
All
yeah.
right. So
No, I don't get flagged that much.
okay. I like that Adidas thing. That's pretty sweet. I was gonna wear my Slavic gangster looking similar type
Yeah,
of thing.
that's where we're at. Comfy.
Let's go back to the beginning. So, I want to talk a little bit about you, your life. I know that you had, when I read your bio, when I read like the trek that you took, it sounds like you had to really bust your ass. I mean, that whole period of not getting a manager, the whole period of Red Lobster and the Hollywood slums, I think is what your bio says. Where do you like? What was the thing that you saw when you were young where you're like, I want to be comedy man, and then what was the process of like actually getting to some level of success and living your dream to a degree?
Oh, I mean that would be like a 10-hour series podcast. They really go to the specifics,
It's
but
only six here, so let's start now in that first hour. Let's get in.
yeah. Um, Basically, I try to tell people this. I didn't have any plan. I didn't have any idea. It was just something that was so gravitated towards of like, a rambunctious kid to the kid that was always talking in school to then, just graduating high school, not wanting to go to college. And my mom was like, well, you got to do something. And I was always kind of, a person that made people laugh.
Were you
So
class
then
clown?
I'm ish. Once I got to high school, there was a lot of really good competition, but we all kind of band together and made like a supervillain group. And it was really good. Just people that like were like everything's bullshit type of people. And long story short, a movie came to town. My friend's mom was a local actress, so she would do theater and once in a while get a local commercial. She was a featured extra in it, meaning the star gives her hand something to you, and she may have a line or may not. She said, "Hey, I think I get you in this movie. You have to go down." So I went down and I met with the AD, and they were like, "Are you willing to do this?" And I was boom. I said yes. I was hired as an extra for 3 days. And once I was an extra, I'd never been in anything. I never did anything. I was like, "This is literally it was divine intervention." And I said, I have to move to Hollywood. And this is in the late 80s, so it was different now. The internet wasn't existing. You know, pagers weren't even there yet. So it was like you had to go to the land. And so then I moved out to Hollywood and had no idea. And all I knew is I had to survive. And so the first year was just me figuring out what it's like to live on my own and survive. I had a friend. And then I slowly started trial by error trying to get into the business and literally working tons of shitty jobs and extra work. No, not really a lot of extra work because it was
Was
very
was stand up on your mind at that time, or was that something that you decided to do later?
after a year kind of doing different jobs, and I could never really keep a job because my goal of somehow getting into Hollywood as something in front of the camera. And I always liked stand up. And then enough people said you should try stand up. And I was like, I guess, I don't know. So literally the good thing about it was there's no barrier to entry. And so you can just sign up on an open mic night and see what it's like. So I did that and it went very well the first time. And then the next 5 times it went awfully wrong.
Yep.
And I'm like, I can't do this. I don't know what the hell. And then after like 6 months of not really trying it, I committed and I'm like, I'm gonna really do this. And so I just said, I have to get good. I don't know what this is. And so I committed to doing an open mic every day. And just every time I get a laugh, I'd write it down and then add to it. And literally it was like building block on building block. And so long story short, after a few years of that, I'm starting to run around, talk to people, learning different things. That's how I slowly started making inroads, and kind of my road was getting defined, if that makes sense.
What was dating Jennifer Love Hewitt like? Is that a drama thing, or is that because that comes
That's a
up when
big that's a big jump from open mics to
you went right
to,
from open mic to that, right?
dating. I mean, no, she is a wonderful person. I think she's amazing. I think she's great. I love her. I haven't talked to her in many years, but she was great.
I'm
That's a
just,
big
I'm
jump.
just, I'm just screwing around. So yeah, let's
Okay.
rewind. Let's rewind. Go back. So stand up starts to click. Did you? I found that like when I tried doing stand up back when I was 18. I thought it was okay. But I know the thing that when I did it, like the first time it went really good, and I was like, oh, this is gonna be great. It's gonna be easy. And then it was like the next several times, it was like nothing but hecklers, and I just
Yeah.
bombed. And I think that's usually what happens. So I think what's amazing about, especially kind of what people see you doing on YouTube now, all the viral videos of like the responding to the hecklers is like, is that just 20 years of experience of dealing with hecklers, or is it like was it always like, were you always sort of quick witted enough to reply to the haters?
At 30 years, but
30.
also like it's not just the hecklers, it's the critics, it's negativity in general. Yes, I you definitely get better. Like I tell people, your 10,000 hours, they say I probably have 20,000 more, 25,000. And that's not just clubs, it's being on set in high pressure situations, a producer saying something to you, a director, we're going to miss the shot, being in a carpet. It's all of the life. But comedy obviously is another skill set within it, but they all serve each other. And it's crazier more than ever now, obviously. I mean, people have never been more narcissistic, or I think they've always been narcissistic, but they've never had the ability to express their narcissism so freely. And also, people have never been more entitled, which they should be, but ignorant. They're more ignorant than ever. And so, why I do videos on YouTube called Why Hollywood's Dying is a
Yeah.
prime example of, because people are not about look at you, they're like, look at me. And they're just feeling their own inner stardom, which is good, but there's people that are really good and there's people that are delusional. So, but it doesn't matter, because the only currency in the new world is noise. So if you make noise, whether you're good, bad, or indifferent, you're relevancy. It's not about being good anymore.
Mm.
So um yeah, I mean, hecklers are people are robustly consuming comedy more than ever. And people are either with you or against you. And it's like rock and roll and music was the real like F the man, but those guys have kind of been, besides people like Rage Against the Machine or really good artists like that, most of those dudes are like don't want to fuck up their bag, you know what I mean? And they're not speaking out where comics are.
Right. Yeah, it's a weird thing in comedy. Like, it seems like there's a lot of these people who have noticed that you can utilize a lot of the identity politics stuff to actually try to get ahead. And so it's like it's not even about talent or creativity. It's just I deserve this because I say that I'm this. I identify as attack helicopter, and so therefore I deserve all of this. It's like no, you have to. I mean, I didn't go through the ringer like you guys did, to do, all the 10, 20,000 hours of stand up. But it's like, I saw people doing that. I had friends that went on to be, full on professional stand ups. And it's like, they really had to put in 10 years at least of touring. And so this idea that sort of you get this because of an identity is just really wild, really bizarre. So, just props to you and people who have really put in the time and the effort to do it. And, one thing I noticed too is that you just to kind of go back to your background, you were a basketball guy. I was a basketball guy too. Did you want to be a basketball player? I used to want to be a basketball player.
Yeah, I think one time for a second I thought, oh, could I really do this? But I wasn't that good. But like I was too, no, it wasn't big enough
Yeah,
to be a forward and wasn't quick enough to be a
point
guard,
guard.
but I was good enough to shoot and good enough to garbage in there sometimes and get some garbage balls. But I loved it, but I was like, I don't think I'm ever gonna get past the, CYO level here. But I love it and it's a great game. It's very exciting.
I feel like my hands sort of stopped growing at a certain point because they grew right to where I can't really palm the ball. But if they had grown a little bit, I would have been a lot better. It's just like if you can't palm the ball, I think you're kind of like,
Yeah. I
but
could palm the ball, but it's just a
yeah,
matter of getting it in the hoop.
right. So you have another problem with kidneys. I have a kidney problem. So
You do?
maybe are you part of the older brother program? Would you like to be sign up for being my older brother in the older brother program? Because we have a lot in
What do
common.
you what do you need? Yeah, do you have both your kidneys?
I do have them both, but they do give me pains. I just basically need an older brother to spend time with me, play basketball, give hugs, talk about
Yes.
kidneys. My wife's in there laughing. So
Big brother. It's a big brother program.
big brother program.
Do
No,
you
I
have
saw.
both your kidneys
I have them, but they hurt. So
because you drink?
no, I actually quit drinking because they hurt. So
Okay, so you really do have a medical issue. Jay, you're
I think
slightly trying to put jokes in. Are we going to have a deep convo or are you going to do 5 minutes?
so. I always figured the comedians want to joke around, but then I don't know.
No, comedians.
No.
We're deep in it now.
Okay.
You're the deep man.
We
Wait,
could
are you
talk.
on the road right now doing your pod? Or you do show? You do I thought you did comedy.
Yeah, we do a lot. We do a live show. We're not doing that right now, but we do. We're doing Austin next. Yeah.
Are you doing so you do the live show, the Jay Dyer show?
Yeah. Yeah.
At like Vulcan?
Vulcans? What do you mean?
No, like you'll do it in a club at like Vulcan or something? Your pod?
Oh, no, no, no. It's we do all kinds of different stuff. So if I do a live show, I'll do a 30, 40 minute set where it's kind of hard to explain what I do, but it's different
It's
from
a mix.
it's different from the podcast.
One of my one of like probably you might know him. I heard of you from a great person named Allison. You know Allison Weber?
Yes, because she was on when I went to California a while back on a trip. She was on Tripoli's show with me. Yes, I forgot. Yeah,
Yes, and Allison was married to my friend Flip for many years. She was like one of these, what you say, 20,000 hours life for great comedians who really paid his dues. And he is married to Allison, who's now, in her own 10,000 hour journey, working, she is a great comedian. And then I used to go with their house for dinner, and we would go down the rabbit hole. And one of the things we
Nice.
watched was your videos.
Wow, yeah, she was talking about, I remember when we went on that episode, I remember her songs are really funny, and
Yeah,
we were getting deep into the Hollywood rabbit hole with Tripoli at that time. Are you in Tripoli, buddies? You know Sam?
I just did his pod. Yeah, he's great. I
Oh,
did
okay.
about
Okay.
a
Yeah.
month ago.
Nice. I haven't caught up. I do listen to him on the regular. So you're trying to bust me, trying to call me out over here, not listening to my friends. No, I like these guys. They're awesome. Stop trying to expose me, man. I can't figure out. It's like my spurgatism is going. I don't know if we're supposed to be serious, if we're supposed to be joking
No, we can
around.
go whatever you want. I just don't want to go. I just don't want to be canceled. But other than that, we're great.
I won't say anything that would get you canceled.
Thank you.
I will just trap you so that you cancel yourself. No, I'm just kidding.
Thank you.
Um, okay, so maybe we'll go back to the outline of your whole life story. So you were so what was the first thing that after this horrible period of living in the Hollywood slums, as it's described, right? Like, when did you get what would you call your first like big break? What was that like
It's
a
not really. You never get a big break, but you get a series of breaks. But I did get a good break because I was doing stand up, and I always tell people that people know me from my life as an actor,
mm,
but it came through me through stand up. So I was doing a show, and I believe it was Cheryl Weingard. I think that was her last name. She was a comic, but she also worked in an ad agency in Orange County, and they would use comics sometimes to do test test ideas in advertising to pitch a product to pitch an idea to a product campaign. Long story boring is she needed comics. We did one for El Pollo Loco, got paid $100, which is still good money. And out of that promo, they didn't buy the campaign, but people liked it. And so she used me as an idea for another campaign. Did a test campaign for a company called Vans, which is Orange County, born and raised. She said, "Here's our test idea." And the guy's like, "Why is this a test? These are commercials." Long story boring. Boom, it goes on MTV. And I just turned 24.
ooh, wow.
And I was all over MTV for the whole summer, had enough money for a year. I started getting into commercials, and that was a big break.
Yeah.
Because I could go out and just audition for commercials, do stand up at night, and not have to have a job.
Yeah.
And that slowly got me into, started getting me a lot of meetings of who's this young guy.
So
I would
then
say commercials.
right. Nice. Yeah, we had friends that were saying that commercials ended up paying a lot of the rent for many years. So would you
Yeah.
would you say that I mean, when I remember watching Jamie Kennedy Experiment, I remember, not, I'm not trying to cause drama or controversy, just honest question. Like, seems like later shows that came along that were kind of very similar. Maybe we're taking that idea, if you know what I mean. I remember like,
Oh
I
yeah, that's
remember,
very true. You could
yeah.
jump right in that. Which one?
Well, I
Uh
remember when Punked was on, I was like, isn't
yeah.
this kind of Jamie Kennedy Experiment?
Let's go really specific on that. So, I used to do a joke that in my act, I used to say Ashton always is stealing all my good ideas. I always wanted to have sex with Demi Moore. So but I mean, Punked was around at the same time. It's funny how things are in the zeitgeist, and it's like
Yeah. Yeah.
and there was a show called on NBC, I forget what it was, and that kind of started the whole hidden camera genre again. And Punked was around, and I had my show starting to go, and then Punk kind of did a couple pilots, and I didn't think they were going to go. And after the first season of my show, I probably lost a third of my staff to Punk. And it was okay because I knew we had good people to come up, but every job that was on my staff was going to be elevated on Punk. So if you were a co-EP on my show, you were an EP. If you were assistant director, you're a director. So they gave them a lot, and that was fine. And the difference of that show is it was just a joke on celebrities, which I get, and Ashton's in the thing and he's laughing. Mine was immersive, going down.
Yeah.
Same genre, different execution. But the annoying part was that they definitely did. They went to the same locations, a lot of them, and they also did. They they definitely had certain ideas that were in the wheelhouse, but they weren't as they didn't explore them as much as me. So I mean, for a while, people always used to say that. What can I tell you? It's Hollywood. It's the world. It's. Um, but yeah, there's definitely some borrowing there for sure.
And then, so does this is post Scream, right? Scream's 98,
Yeah.
97.
So
Yeah.
I get the commercials, right? I have out of that, I take meetings and it's kind of funny how I did it backwards. Like I get a deal with MTV. No, I get to audition for SNL. I don't get SNL. I'm literally like, what am I gonna do with my life? That was my only goal. I get a deal with MTV. They hold me for 6 months and they're like, come up with your own show. I shoot a concept pilot, kind of in the vein of the Jamie King experiment, but it was more like me playing characters, trying to like get a goal. You know what I'm saying? So it was like the whole thing was I was breaking into a tennis tournament trying to meet Brooke Shields because she was dating Andre Agassi at the time, or married, I think. And I had to start my way out, just me sneaking in, and they filmed it. But I would use accents and stuff. So it was kind of like that. They didn't get picked up, but the tape was good enough. I started auditioning. People started seeing I could act. Long story boring. I got Scream, which was incredible. I got Romeo and Juliet before that, which was huge, and then Scream, which was huge, and then my movie run was going beautifully, and I'm like, okay, I'll just do this. And then around 2000, my agents were like, well, you did a lot of movies. Now it's like you're a name going on TV. And I'm like, I mean, I need a good role. Let's get deeper. So I just kept going back and forth, and I was getting the same kind of offers, but wacky best friend, which is great. But so we developed a lot of TV shows. Nothing happened, but the president of WB stuck with me. He's like, "You got to do what you want to do." And so it's just like this was what I've always wanted to do. Where that idea of the Jamie King experiment could have came first, that led to movie stardom. I was kind of getting movie stardom, then showed my comedy chops in a new way, and then that led to comedy movie stardom. That's how I. That's so. King experiment was after that, but it became a
Right.
name from it.
Right. A little interlude question though, and maybe you didn't want to talk about your whole history. I don't know, but we'll get maybe in a little bit. We'll get into some of the deeper rabbit hole stuff if you're comfortable with that. But what about so like what advice would you give to people who are kind of at that phase where they've had a few kind of things like in my case, for example, we put a whole lot of time and effort into one season of a show that got bought, and it was really fun. It was really cool. And we put all this time and effort into this season two. I thought for sure it was going to happen, and then it never got bought. Then we did another thing, and it was a sizzle reel, and we flew out to California and filmed all this stuff. And it was like, oh yeah, this is so great. Nobody buys it. Um, that is, I guess, a common thing, right? I mean, I'm kind of new to some of these things, so I don't really. To me, it's like I don't have managers. It's all different, I guess. Like it's just like I mean, we're all doing our own stuff, I guess now. People like me and my wife and all that. So it's kind of a letdown, I guess, because you feel like, oh, this is a great idea, and then it just doesn't get bought. But then it's like, I guess you keep chugging on. What advice would you give to people in that kind of a situation? Is it better now because people can kind of just do their own thing?
Wait, how old are you?
I'm middle aged, so I'm like, I don't even know how old am I. 42.
You're 42.
Yeah.
Wow, you're not middle aged. You look good.
Thank you. That's what she
Um,
says. That's what she said.
Dude, well, first of all, you're very confusing because like your mentality is that of an early YouTuber, which should now be that of a Zoomer, which is like I would tell all the YouTubers that were killing it, they were like, I really want to be blessed by Hollywood. I'm like,
You don't
You
need it.
don't need it.
Yeah.
You're already doing your own thing. And they were like, oh no, I want the blessing. I'm like, they're just gonna take your audience and they're not gonna know what to do with it and fuck you up. And then
Yeah.
eventually they would. And remember when all the YouTubers for a while were losing their mind and leaving their
Yeah.
channels? And now the Zoomers are like, not only do I not need Hollywood, I don't want it. Keep it the fuck away from me.
That's what
And
she
they're
was saying.
doing, yeah. So you're kind of, it's weird because you're kind of such an outside force that pushes a lot of boundaries. So for you to worry about what the WB thinks of you is bizarre to me. So I would tell everybody that it's a wrap. Like the glory days of Hollywood, in my opinion, are
Yeah.
done. Like it's they say that my generation, luckily, I possibly was the last generation of stardom, and I would say that Channing Tatum is our last big male movie star, and I would say Jennifer Lawrence was our last big female movie star, legacy stars. There's been a lot of people that have come in, um, but I would say those two. I mean, maybe I'm crazy. So
Yeah.
you don't Hollywood's being disrupted every day. Like
Yeah.
there's more platforms. There's what do you want to do? If you want to be a great filmmaker, then raise money for the tiniest amount of budget and make your movies and start as a short. That's how some of your greatest directors do it. If you want to do a TV show, again, do a small concept, because to do a whole expensive thing and then try to sell it is hard to do. But with Tubi and Voodoo and all of these other platforms, you can put stuff on AVOD and get ad revenue. My whole thing is keep your cost down, whatever you want to do. So if you want to make a movie, keep it very low and put it out there slowly to try to get revenue back. If you want to be a talking head, start a YouTube. If you want to do pranks, you got YouTube and Facebook. I mean, there's a lot of ways to go here. But to sit there and put your hand out, I just don't think we have to do that anymore. We all play the game, but I'm much more of the Zoomer mentality than I am mine.
Yeah, that makes
I
sense.
mean, am I wrong with that? Do you agree with that? I mean,
No, it makes sense. I think
it's a wrap. And if you fart in the wrong way, you're going to be canceled anyway.
right.
Like the corporate nipple is done. You have to put yourself as uncancelable because Jesus. Here's a great example. Okay, this is right in your wheelhouse because you go deep, right, and you talk about things that are still uncomfortable for society. But there's a guy I follow. You should follow him, called Carnivore MD. He's a brilliant guy. Talks about our diet. There's only about 15 things we should really eat, and he's got a war on seed oil. Okay,
Yes.
and seed oil, it's not that cholesterol is bad. It's actually seed oil is bad, right?
Right.
So he is a great looking guy, double boarded in medical, lives his truth, like fit. They fucking flagged his content because he was pushing back on seed oil. It's not big pharma now, Jay. It's big seed.
Yeah.
It's like, so the fact that he, who's like a clean liver, never curses, is like a stand-up individual, is getting pushback, it's a wrap. It's literally pick a side. Do you want to be on the other side of the wall or you want to be smashing it down? And I'm only saying this because I'm inside the system and I see it crumbling. I see the bullshit. And it's like people who have a lot of money don't give a fuck. They're just going to keep their money. They don't want to lose it. And the rest of the people are going, yo, what about me? My opinion.
No, it's a great point. Yeah, big oil, like that used to, when
seed
you hear
oil.
I know, but I was gonna make a joke. Like,
oil.
I know, but like when you hear big oil, you used to think the Rockefellers and Standard Oil. Now it's like, no, Crisco, dude. Like Crisco's getting people shut down.
Sesame.
Yeah, dude. So no, I think that people in our situation who were never inside of the actual establishment of Hollywood and then they're trying to build an audience and all that, I think our vantage point is that we think, okay, what's the thing that I could be a part of, even if it's some company that will take my audience to the next level? So like in my case, it was that TV show we did on Gaia, and that did take my audience to, and it didn't make me famous, but it took the audience to the next level and allowed me to do a lot more. So I think a lot of people are thinking, when is this other media outlet going to reach out? And then, being hosting the fourth hour, Lord Voldemort, that took the audience to the next level. So I think from our vantage point, it's not, can I get inside of the establishment per se, but like, what's the next level thing that can, broaden the audience, is kind of the way I look at it. So
To me, it's this. You're doing it. I tell everybody, build your audience. I have a friend who is grinding. He's been grinding for years, and clips are starting to work on TikTok, where he started putting on his own shows, whether it's 80 or 100 people a night. Now he's selling out theaters at 300. And it doesn't matter. If you just do your thing, and traditional Hollywood will hear, because they like money and they like, success and heat. So they'll be like, hey, can we get involved? So you're already doing it. Just building up your followers, building up your like-minded individuals, and just going out. Now, if you want to be an actor, then you got to make something of note that the respected people that you want to work with will watch. If you don't, then you're already doing it, But I mean, acting, singing, writing, that's a whole different ball of wax. So it just depends on what your goal is.
Yeah, I think one thing I was impressed with too when I was listening to some of your videos and your talks, and you're describing like what you do. I think you were perceptive enough to understand that the more independent that a person can be, the better. And so, you talked about being an entrepreneur, and a lot of people think, oh, I'm just going to like get an agent and I'll get famous and I'll get a big channel. And so, no, you have to figure out how to be a business person too, to make this shit work. I had to figure that out. I didn't know that. I had to figure that out.
Dude, agents stink. They do nothing. The whole problem with our business is that salaries exist. So you have this big beehive. Imagine this. You're a fucking lone insect. That's what actors are. That's what, producers are. That's what writers are, right? Agencies are all part of this hive. They're getting doled out a little bit of honey each week, and there are strength in numbers. They could never do what we do because we are lone wolves, right? And there's no payoff. If I audition for something 5 times and don't get it, no one pays me, right? But they get paid for trying. So the first problem with our business is salaries. Everyone should be only, you fucking get what you get, and that's it. Everyone should only be on commission. And the next thing is that, like I said, like a great example is Terrifier 2. I haven't seen the movie yet. I gotta see it. And I was talking to the director like 2 weeks ago, and he is the sweetest guy. This movie is huge. Okay, he made it for $250,000 over a year, and he made the creative. He got to make it the way he wants to make it, and he was like the people. I believe, I hope I'm not misquoting him. They made enough money on the first one where the people are like, let's just try a sequel. I feel comfortable with this. 250,000. It's probably made 18 million. And but it came out in one theater. So anyone can do that. Not anyone can make a great movie, but anyone can make a movie, and you can pretty much get it in one theater. And then from there, if the numbers work, then you can expand it to 2 theaters. Like there are theaters that will just let you rent it. Obviously, you have to make, this guy's really talented and he made a great movie. But what I'm saying is, you can start. That's why I tell people, start small and then let it build organically.
You said Terrifier 2?
Terrifier 2, yeah.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna check that out.
Huge movie, but voracious appetite. Like people are like, it's becoming its own universe.
Gotcha. By the way, the last action hero was and will always be Nicolas Cage. There's never been and there never will be any more action heroes after Con Air and The Rock. So just a little bit of a point of correction there.
Was that a J joke?
We have an unknown affinity and worship here. We don't know where it comes from for Nick Cage. It just sort of happened and evolved on its own. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know why, but I love Nick Cage. He's the greatest.
You should. He's a legend.
He is a legend. And that's not satire. Like, I actually do like Nick Cage a lot.
I wouldn't think. I believe you. He's awesome.
So, one thing I realized that's why I resonate with what you're saying in some of your podcasts was that so you're entrepreneur. Do you want to talk a little bit about that? Because I think a lot of people don't. I never thought growing up, because I had the normal kind of standard high school education everybody else gets. I had to, do the hourly wage slave jobs too, and this kind of stuff. And it never occurred to me that I could have my own business. You know what I mean? Like that just wasn't in my head. And I had very kind of critical, my dad was kind of a military mean man. So I never got this idea. Hey, you can go start your own business. You could do. What did you? Is that so? Were you in the system where you started realizing, hey, I can just be my own, kind of boss here? Because that stuff is really inspiring. I think to me.
Um, I think it's a multitude of things. I think that as you get in and you're listening to everybody, and they're supposed to be in charge and the smartest people, and then you hang around with them 10 minutes, and you go, okay, that's is it. This is the brains of the. It's like it's kind of like working at Red Lobster. Like you take these jobs, and then you're like you're the busboy, and you realize that the manager is like not really doing what you're like you could run the place better,
Yeah.
but you're just a fucking busboy. So it's like,
Yeah.
oh, you're a fucking extra, but the producer knows more. And so you just shut up and you take your lumps, and then you start realizing it's not brain science. And I'm really pretty much learning this for the world. Like my brother's like, you should always trust your instincts because most people are not really that smart as they think they are. And so you just get in the system and you're like, okay, here's how you make a piece of content. This whether it's a movie or TV show, this is what you got to do, and boom, bam, and then so it's just kind of doing it. You get the confidence of it, um, and then you realize that as much as people can love praise and good reviews and everything, which is great, at the end of the day, Hollywood just loves money. So they really, no matter what they say, of course they love praise and all this stuff, but they really like when things make money. So if you can do something that makes a hit and makes an inroads, you're gonna get another chance. And that's pretty much how my brain started working. And then so I started becoming an entrepreneur only to kind of fund my own projects. And it kind of happened, and I took some big hits, but now it's kind of happening again. I've like corrected the ship, and you have to understand is it's different now. Like we would have to film stuff, it would cost so much money, and then we'd have to give it and hopefully get distributed. So now I can film something that looks better quality for much cheaper and distribute it to a lot of people, maybe get 1 million views on Instagram. Now there's no money there, but there's awareness, and whether that leads to a live show or enough people to go and put some money in a GoFundMe to make a project that's doable. So it's just the connectivity world made things a lot easier. It also made things a lot harder because now it's
You're
insane.
competing with everybody. Right.
Well, in a nutshell, yeah. I mean, like I just did a pod about it. Like, you know, some of the greatest movies are coming out right now, and people aren't seeing them because they're just watching TikTok, which is
Yeah.
fine. So like it goes back to people who are just in their own world, and it's not going to change. It's going to get more. So my whole thing is build your own little community.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Great points there. So let's get back to the Hollywood thing, because so Scream was huge. I mean, I remember when it came out. I remember going to see it in the theater. I all my buddies, we were all movie nerds. We lived in a small town, and all anybody did in a small town was you were either into the arts or you did meth. Like that was it, right? There's nothing else to do. So we, thank God, chose movies and the arts. And I remember, being in the theater and realizing I was young at the time. I was like right at the edge of high school, graduating high school. And I remember I'm thinking, oh, this is satire, So I was really starting realizing this is satirizing horror and the whole genre. And I think a lot of films after Scream harken back to that. It kind of kicked off that whole, horror comedy, genre almost, like maybe you could say. Um, Tell it, well, like, what was that like, just being part of like such a cultural kind of like phenomena of something that big, that huge? Like, is it still like do people still be like, hey, it's Jamie Kennedy, right? Like the Scream guy. Like, do you get called the Scream guy? Are you the stand-up guy? Like, what is that? How does that work when you meet people?
Got many hats, definitely Screams probably the biggest thing people probably know me from. It's like, yo, oh my God, that's Randy. I mean, I'm also known as Jamie Kennedy. It's like they know me from Randy, B Rad, Jamie Kane Experiment, Ghost Whisperer, and my stand up. Those are pretty much, and there's different things in between, but
Do you
those
do
are
you
like the
have people
touchstones.
that like identify you by the character? Is that weird? Like, it seems to me like that would be a weird thing. But is it? Do you just get used to it? Is it not that big of a deal, or does it feel weird?
No, you're just used to it. I mean, yeah, there's definitely people that are Randy, and there's definitely people that go as Jamie Kennedy. I mean, um, to go back to your first question, it's Scream is bigger than ever. It's not dead, or it's only getting bigger.
Right.
And because they keep putting them out, it keeps me relevant. And the new one was so good, and the directors
It
were
was
so
good.
nice
Yeah.
to me, and they put me in through a picture, and I did some voiceover, and you know, there's so much people talking about it, and he's an iconic figure, Ghostface, and there's all these debates about I shouldn't have been killed and all these different things. So it's bigger than ever. Ghostface is his own movie star, and it's thing, it's I'm very fortunate. I don't know. I'm lucky to be it. But again, like if I shave and clean myself up and do stuff, then people will know me more and more. But now people know me from my pods and my rants and like this guy. So I'm very fortunate to be a part of it. It's incredible, and I don't think it'll ever go away, and it's only getting bigger and
Like with the
wild.
beard and the glasses, like you look like to me right now, you look like a young Paul Giamatti who's gonna go like assassinate somebody at the shooting range.
That's aggressive. I was gonna say sophisticated porn producer.
Who's gonna kill somebody at the gun at the shooting range?
I love Paul Giamatti, but every people I've usually like the second guy said this, but I don't have the weight. No offense, but I mean I think I'm a little bit more
I was just joking, man.
svelte. It's two times you said just joking, Jay. One
You're
more,
a
and we're gonna
hottie.
have.
I don't because I never know how people are taking me. So no,
Well, you
you're a
never.
hottie.
Well, you know
You're
what
a
you
hottie.
do. I'm hot now. Thank you, Jay. You serve jokes like an Englishman, dry as toast.
Is that why Jamie? Jamie's in there laughing. So she's like, this is what
The
she
wife,
tells.
the wife knows,
She's like, you're yeah, people don't
but
know how to take you because it's too serious. So
because you know what you do, you're like if you're telling your wife right now, you're like, listen, honey, I gotta talk to you about something, and she's like, oh my God, are we talking about a baby? Are we talking about divorce? And you're like, I want to talk to you about gluten. I don't know, that was a bad example, but you set it up like it's gonna go one way and you go the
she's
other.
yeah. I'm so yeah, maybe I need to
I'm killing with the wife. The wife right now is loving this.
she's in
I
there
can
cracking
feel it.
up. Yeah, she's like
Okay,
she was
the wife.
excited for me to talk to you. She was like, I can't believe you're gonna be talking to Jamie Kennedy. I was like,
How
I can't believe I'm
sexist is
talking
that?
to Jamie.
I call her the wife. That's sexist, isn't it? Her
You are
first
the
name is
wife.
the second name is the wife.
She's fine with that.
I
She's in there laughing.
the Wheezy.
You're
Talk
a
to me,
hot
Jay.
Paul Giamatti. Is that better?
I'm a, I'm a Paul Gia-Hotty. I don't know. I see him
Exactly.
in those commercials with fucking. He's playing Scrooge. He's playing Albert Einstein. I was like, this is a lot. Do you see those 5G commercials?
Uh,
Anyway,
so
go back to me being an extra, Jay.
no, that's too far back. You're famous now. Scream. You're a phenomena. You're part of this. And then like so here's the thing here's a question I have. So everybody so I write from these books about Hollywood and all these these essays and read all these books. I don't know anything about inside of Hollywood from the inside or anything like that. I'm just doing it from the nerd perspective. And one thing I always hear people say when I get into the sort of Hollywood rabbit hole stuff is it's all about money, it's all about money, it's all about money. Now looking back, would you say that it's more than just money? Like, is there kind of an esoteric secret society element to Hollywood at all, or is it still basically just about money from your perspective?
Ooh, now you're tiptoeing. Here's what I would say. let me try to keep me focused here, okay? Because I like to examine things. So I'm going to answer it, but first I'm going to give you an example. So I fucking hate the term misinformation, and I hate the term when people say don't do your own research, okay? Because if you were on TikTok or the gram or wherever, I look and I see the best recipes for carbonara pasta, right? I love carbonara, okay? Or I see the best yoga instructor, right? So, and I'm doing a bit about this. Why is it okay for me to emulate that and get my own information? Oh, this is going to be such a good pod. I'm going to use it. You can use this clip. But why isn't it when it's something against some big narrative that it's a conspiracy or you shouldn't do your own information?
Mhm.
That's where the bullshit starts. So people created the internet in the late 70s at Berkeley, but before that they said it was with the war or the army did it, which I think it was a form of DARPA in the 60s.
Right.
Do I know that did they know they were going to let the genie out of the bottle? I would assume they did, but maybe not. So the greatest thing about the internet is that, right? It's peer to peer. So if you look at it, if we're all going down the 405, right? And there's no exits, that's the information you're getting. That's the traffic link. But if there's an exit every 3 seconds, that is what I call the do your own research, meaning all the geysers, the people like you going, hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on. So what comes with that? Tell me if you're following me. Everybody is getting exposed.
Mm-hmm.
So they're trying to put caps on it, right? Like, oh no, bullshit, 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 bullshit. So the greatest thing is we have the internet. It's supposed to be misinformation, but yet there's a ton of truth tellers out there. A lot of people, people that are involved with things that are fucking crazy that are now saying, hey, I know this because I was involved. And then they try to call them crazy. So that's all the backstory philosophy of the mechanics of our world, right? So that's why I think every institution is falling, because there's just too much smoke around it, right? So with Hollywood, I did a video of it. Basically, it's really simple. I know you do a lot of stuff on it, but mine was just an empire of their own, was the basic beginnings of Hollywood, started by 5 Jewish fur traders who created and emulated a life that they did not have, from war-torn countries in Europe, and that became the Jack Warners and the Carl Lemleys and such, which started basically the 5 factions of our entertainment of Hollywood, right? So to me, it was a new technology like the internet is, or like streaming video is, and then I think it became its own industry. And yes, it's a business, and people love money. They love the glitz, they love the glamour, they love the sex, they love the hedonism, they love all of that. Okay. Only probably trying to go in the last 15 years, really in the last 10, it gotten heated, but now you're starting to see more and more from people like you unearthing the darker sides. And I always tell people, I've never saw anything illegal. I mean, unless you want to call drugs illegal. I don't, I mean, it depends on what your morals are, but I don't think I've seen anything really too much amoral. But I mean, I guess I have, because, you see infidelity and you see people doing things.
Well, you
but
didn't get
nothing
invited
bad.
to the eyes wide shut ritual, is what we're trying to say.
No, never saw any of that. Never. You hear about it in like echo chambers, but it's like, is that real or whatever? And you're just doing your thing. You're just like happy to be an actor or comedian. You're a cog on the wheel, and you're going to the Maxim party. And yeah, you go to the Maxim party, you have a few drinks, you meet a beautiful lady. Hey, maybe you go home that night. It's pretty standard, beautiful, living the dream type of stuff. The next day you go to the griddle and eat pancakes, and everyone's happy, right? I mean, no. So the new stuff with all the stuff really got intense in the last 6 years, I would say. I think because of people like you, there's first of all, there's definitely a CIA compelling. There's definitely that's just not debatable that messages and people are picked to put
Propaganda, yeah, totally.
100%. But then there's definitely, and I didn't really know that either until recently because there's people that literally have been picked, and then there's other people that are just always in your face. Like, why is this person always in my fucking face? Like, no. There's also predictive programming. I 100% believe because there's just too much smoke with that, which then could lead into where you go, which is the regulation of the process and stuff. So, is there nefarious activities? Obviously, definitely, right? But was it just like casting couch and stuff like this? That's what people thought it was. But yes, I think there's a lot more. I think everyone, the housewife in Indiana is like, oh yeah, secret society. Like it's out there now.
Right, exactly.
Making a cake going, did you hear about that? Like, so I think it's secondhand nature now. But you're asked the crux of your question, and I hope I didn't lose anybody on that, is you're basically saying, was Hollywood invented for that? And more, I'm starting to think that there's a big yes, if the whole thing is somehow some sort of ritualistic outplaying, if you will. And to finalize that thought is, I almost think no one makes it anymore, Jay.
Yeah.
I really do. All my success is in spite of, because I'm just a normal dude, in my opinion, of like, I can hang with you, but I can also go to the White House. You know what I mean? But I don't know anything other than the lady from Indiana who was lucky enough to go. But what I'm saying is, I'm starting to believe that everyone is picked at the highest levels. That's my opinion. And it's a deeper convo. And whether they know it or not, some people may know it and some people may not. But there's definitely bots in the system.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, wow. Well, you said more than I expected, but that's awesome. I mean, I would admit that, I the propaganda, war propaganda, let's use this as a machine
It's
for that stuff.
100%.
That's all verifiable.
That's entry level.
Yeah.
That's entry. Like everyone's got to admit that.
Did you notice any of that? Like when you started, like was that relevant or evident, I should say, like in the early 2000s? Because I remember I first heard that when I read somebody's book. It was actually in the academic world when I was doing grad work. I read a book on that in 2007, and I actually thought that was crazy. I was like, the CIA in Hollywood, that sounds outlandish. And then I started noticing when I was starting to do more grad work on that, there's actually more and more sources from academics on that. And I'm like, well, they wouldn't be writing about this. So this actually, there's no evidence of this. The more that I read about it, it's like, actually, there's a lot of evidence about this. And then that leads you, like you said, down these other trains of like, maybe not that all of Hollywood has one central, like controller, but it just makes me think of like, Mulholland Drive or something where it's like, that little dude behind the glass wall, the little midget guys, like, give the role to Naomi Watts, like.
I have to see that movie. Let's go back though. The you know what, dude? It's crazy, bro, because I'm like in it and a part of it and don't even know it. But like, here's an example. Enemy of the State, more relative than ever.
Right.
25 years deep. Okay. Now, was that a great movie? Yes. Was it birthed out of a movie called The Conversation? Yes. With Gene Hackman. Gene Hackman was in both.
Also good. Yep.
Also, this is made by Disney Corp. It was just a great action movie, a thinking man's thriller, but people like my brother was like, who's really ahead of the curve, you know, a little bit of a conspiracy theorist, but like works in the system on Wall Street and all that stuff. And he's like, that movie's real.
Right.
And I didn't know. But that movie gets quoted more and more now. More and more people come up to me. So there's an example. Like I did movies like that, and I did Three Kings, and we had military generals, we had government people, but they were just to keep authenticity. Um, I don't know. Were they giving lines in the script? Probably. Were they putting messages in there? Probably, to get a message across, of course. But at the time, you just meet these professionals and they hand you a gun and they tell you how to shoot it. And they tell you exactly what this person would say
Yeah.
because they work with special ops. So you're just like, I'm working with the best in the business. And so that's what's lucky about Hollywood is you work with the best. Now, why they're there are different reasons. These guys are all just working too. They got higher ups on higher ups on higher ups. But is there propaganda in that movie? Probably. There's a huge actor right now, and I'm not going to name his name. I'm not ready to go there yet. But it's multiple Dyer types, but partially one is an academic. I don't know your history, but it's like blessed by like high academia that has shown the actual existence of like the emails and stuff of this actor being picked to be like the face of America. And I'm not going to say who, but you can do your own thoughts on that of this person now who is like the hero of America and who's in everything. And they say you can look it up, but the CIA was like, that's our man. If you believe that. And I
Wow.
kind of do.
I'm tempted to make a joke. I don't know if I should make it. I don't want to get you
No,
canceled, so I'll hold
listen
off
to
on
the
it.
wife. Listen to the wife. The wife knows. Just keep it on the DL. Wait till we turn off the fucking thing.
All right,
You probably
we'll keep it
already
on the
know,
deal.
Barry. You'll probably be like, it's obvious to it, but yeah.
Oh no, but I was
Just
gonna make a different line of joke that would be
uh-oh.
more edgy.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I won't do
Thank,
it. I won't do it.
thank you, Jeff. I'm
Guys,
still up for a couple of Disney Plus cartoons. Stay easy, Jeff.
we'll do. We'll do. So I think that that's something you're kind of blowing me away. I didn't expect you to. I mean,
Have you
not that you.
watched me?
I do, but I didn't expect you to come on the podcast and say that kind of stuff. That because I'm kind of blown away.
Well, I didn't expect to come on the podcast. You asked me how I got my first fucking Burger King callback.
Well, I mean, that's what's cool. I don't. I mean, it's not like
I mean,
I talk about
the
conspiracy
wife's
stuff
got to be
all the
laughing.
time.
The wife's laughing at that one.
Yeah, she is.
No, because listen, dude, I'm at this crazy place in my life. In fact, you're hitting me in like the perfect week because we have this. We're literally going to have to pick a side of like what we want to believe in. And tell me if I'm wrong, because you might know this more than me. But like, I was reading multiple articles that said Disney's market share, the stock went down 41% this year. I don't know if that's true, and that Hollywood lost something like 500 billion in revenue. Right now, you'd have to look that up and tell me if it's true. But I've read a couple articles, and Netflix subscribers are down. I'm really, really fascinated to see if how the Golden Globes rates next week. It's on a Tuesday. I want to know, and if it really rates low, I think we're hitting a tipping point in terms of people caring about Hollywood, like I said earlier, right?
Well,
And
yeah.
go ahead.
Well, no,
And
she watches TikTok. I can't do TikTok. I mean, I put my stuff on there, but Jamie watches TikTok, and she's always telling me like exactly what you said about the younger people, like their attitude. That all over TikTok, it's like Hollywood is bad, it's useless, they're
yeah,
horrible, and they're all against it. So that echoes what you were
it
saying.
might, yeah, that's even more than I would even say. But yeah, that's happening. And so if but like I'm saying stuff this week and my views are going up, but I'm getting more polarizing. Like people are like, yo, dude, you're like, why are you pushing this? Why are you saying this? And to me, I don't want to go too deep in it, but like, you know, what happened on Monday night during the football game with the Bills and the Bengals was an insane tragedy. And this man is doing better, and I hope the positive vibes and that he is going to pull out of this. But we saw something that we really never saw in the history of our, professional sports of that. We see all the videos that are considered conspiracy theory videos, but now the biggest league in the world, the most saccharine network, basically a player dropped. And everyone's just trying to say it was from football. And someone like me goes, there's, there's just more there. And everyone's like, of course there is. And there's a ton of people pushing back. And how dare we say that? And I think that people who have been dealing, in this, you form your tribes, right? During the whole pandemic, right? Like I'm closer with people that I never was close with because we have the same beliefs, and it's kind of like your survival group, right?
Yeah.
And there's other people that I really like, but I'm like, yo, dude, they're gonna learn the hard way, right?
Right.
So I'm saying all this stuff because it's. I mean, what else is there to do? Like, things aren't. You tell me, but the most important thing in the world right now, I think more than anything, and I think your wife Jamie will back me up on this, and I love her name, is that the most compelling thing in the world right now is not a superhero movie or a good album. It's truth. I think we're all fucking lusting after the truth. I think people are realizing that they've been sold a bill of goods, from their diets to their beliefs to their education. And people are like, and so the hardest people that have cognitive dissonance are like, no. It's like my academic sister, who's like a super tenured professor who will fight because she's on the nipple of big academia.
Right.
And I'm a Hollywood crazy person. But there's got to be truth in both, right? Because she's blessed and I'm blessed. So, but I just think that all bets are off because the general public is sick of being told what to do by Hollywood. Hollywood is preached too much. And then Hollywood's got all these skeletons in the closet. So the general public is fucking terrible. They're like, fuck you. And now people are like, I can make my own content. And people like me are like, you have to pick a side. So I'm on the side of righteousness, I hope.
Word. No, I think you are. Yeah. I mean, you wouldn't be talking to me.
Damn, we went deep. Jay's like, oh shit.
I know you kind of. I'm kind of blown away, bro. I'm kind of whoa. I'm processing. So, guys, listen. The podcast is, hate to break it to you, if you go over to jamiekennedy.com, all of this will be linked in the show description. Of course, you'll notice the podcast links are there. He's up to, I think, 110 episodes. That's pretty wild. 110. Dang, dude. That's a hard-working man right here. And he's touring, and the tour dates are there as well. I have those linked. So you'll be doing shows coming up here in Vegas, Colorado Springs. That's what we got for January?
I'm at Jimmy Kimmel, second last from like the 18th on, and then I'm at Colorado Springs Loonies from 27th to 28th. And listen, the shows are awesome. You will never be kicked out of my show unless you try to attack me on stage. And I'm not telling people to do that, but like I let every heckler talk. But we have a good time, and who knows, you'll end up in my videos if you're a crazy person.
Well, I mean, like, so some of the biggest videos of you on YouTube are the hecklers. If you guys haven't seen those, go check them out. They're pretty funny. I mean, you handle them so well, right? It's like,
that's what you said, though. Thank you, Jay. That's like you said, I just practice. I have a lot of bombs under my belt. I have a lot of times I haven't handled it well, but it's not about the winning. It's about showing up. And I believe that hecklers, and I don't ever fucking do anything to them. I just slowly keep giving them the rope
to hang themselves, right? Yeah, the woman is really the one with the woman's really funny. The drunk woman, that one's a classic, right? I mean, and you just kept asking, yeah.
Is it sexist to say that 98% of the hecklers are drunk white women? I mean, with Karens, we've always known about Karens way before General Pop. We call them white wine warriors. They come to the club. It's Janice from accounting. Yeah. She's had cocktails before, and she knows everything. And she cuts her husband's balls off every night. So she comes to the comedy club and think we're her husband. And then we're not. And they get a weird lesson, but they also get weirdly turned on.
Was that the same clip where there's a guy with her too, and he's like just kind of sitting there and like throwing in some backup jabs along with her, or is that a separate clip?
Uh,
There's one with a dude that you
there
talked
was
about.
one lady that was really intensely drunk, and I dealt with her, and it was good. She was loving me, and then it was too disruptive because the rest of the crowd didn't get it, and so then she started annoying me. Then I
Yeah,
was telling her, "Hey, you gotta hear the rules," and then she was defiant. And then the husband had to white knight it,
that's it.
and then
Yeah.
he was like, "Too much, too much." I get it. Try living with her, and then I'm like, "Bro, no one wants to live with her." And then once I crossed the line in his eyes, then he defended her. I'm like, "You're defending a criminal here. Like just because she's your wife doesn't matter. She's a bad acting person. Oh, that's the wife. That's the wife. I don't want to take an Uber home." And then yeah, so but you will watch people. Some guys will stay. Um, there's something about, and I'll push back for this probably about females. tell me if your wife thinks I'm going too far. There's something about females when they get that white claw in them and they go to the comedy club and they just like this motherfucker. No, no. And they want to tell you why, because it has to do with female privilege because the way the world is set up where a man can only be verbally confrontational with a woman, never more. Because if a guy does that, it could always lead to a fight. Where if a guy and a girl do that, it's just going to lead to an argument.
You should have a box wine up on stage just ready to go. Like have the worst box wine and like a carton of
Franzia.
Franzia, and then have a carton of Virginia Slims. And like the next time, just be like, here, shut up. Just hand her some
I
Virginia
wish
Slims.
I could, bro. You could smoke in clubs in the 80s. You can't do it anymore, but that would be good.
You
Like,
just
here,
give her the
take that.
carton and be like, here, this will pacify you. Put this in your mouth.
Do you know who else is tough? Dude, you got
What?
me thinking. I know you wanted to end the show.
No, it's okay.
Teachers. Dude, I
Oh, they're
had some
annoying.
drunk. No, they're drunk, but they're opinionated. They're
They know it
drunk.
all. Yeah.
Well, yeah, because they're in charge of a bunch of sixth
A bunch
graders.
of teenagers. Yeah, right.
But afterwards, the pictures they take with me, it ain't just in Florida, bro. Teachers, they get freaky. Like they want to open their lesson plan, if
They
you
all
will.
want some of that Paul Gia-Hotty, right? They want a
They
piece.
Take
They want a
that
piece.
Did you just come make that a shirt? Hashtag Paul Gia-Hotty. I will cry laughing. I was hoping like, George Carlin's, special needs child, but I'll go with Paul Gia-Hotty.
If I ever get to meet you in person, I will show up with your face with that, and that would be a great. I went to a party one time, and I didn't know what was going on at this party a couple months ago in DC.
How do
And
you not know? It's a party, Jay.
no, I didn't know what to expect at this party, and a dude was wearing a T-shirt of me, like Sam Hyde style, and it kind of freaked me out because it was like, but yeah, I will weird you out, and
What
I'll
did it
have
say?
it was just my face on a T-shirt. And he
He
was
was a
like, I had this
dude?
made just because you were coming to this event. I liked it, but it's also kind of weird at the same time. So I'm going to weird you out with a Paul
Was
Giamatti.
he was a fan or a simp?
No, he's a fan. He was a cool guy. He's actually
That's
kind of,
great.
yeah. It was a good idea. It's just weird I'd never seen my
And
face. Just
it was
walked into a
idol
room.
worship, or he wanted to get in the hot tub later and just discuss some of your ideas
No. He's a good guy. He was
with
good.
a box of Franzia.
And some Virginia Slims.
Dude, welcome to the world, bro. You're blowing up. Soon your head's gonna be on like beer koozies.
Nice. Hopefully it's what Milwaukee's Beast. What's the worst beer? I'm trying to think of the worst possible beer. Oh no, it's gonna be Hurricane. When I was broke and I would drink 40s all the time, I would go get Hurricanes.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
they were like
Drop them
a dollar eight for a
for a
giant.
40.
Yeah,
Wow. That's like wow.
that's probably why I don't drink anymore. Is like that will ruin your kidneys and your gut and all that. I'm sure. So
Oh, it's just devil. That's fucking devil's juice. I actually believe this, and I'll let you go. I haven't drank in almost 5 years, not because I
yeah,
went sober or anything, just because I was getting like on my face all fat.
yeah,
And like if I had two glass of wine. Felt like someone punched me in my face when I woke up the next day. And I started believing in the vibrations of shit. And I do believe that alcohol lowers your vibrations. And then I believe that's
Yeah.
why it's put here to keep everybody numbed out. I do believe that. It's a deeper convo, but
No, I think there's something to that because, like, I mean, it was ruining my gut, and I had started having kidney issues, and then I realized that my output too, like my content output, creativity, writing, like 10 times
through
more
the
once you
roof.
stop drinking. Exactly. So that's cool that you kind of had a similar revelation there. So guys, be sure and head on over to jamiekennedy.com. Follow him on YouTube, follow him on Twitter, Instagram, all the places that will be linked. Go see him at these cool venues
Go to
in
my
Vegas.
website,
Yes, sir.
jamiekennedy.com.
Absolutely.
They
It'll
can
all
see
be
me there.
linked. Yes, sir. jamiekennedy.com. There's also the list at jamiekennedy.com of where he's playing upcoming dates. Be sure and go to those and go to his podcast. Also linked there. Hate to break it to you. And check him out recently over on Sam Tripoli's show. Got to give a shout out to Sam. Thank you so much, Jamie. It's an honor. Really cool, man. Thank you so much.
Back at you, brother. Thank you for having me, Jay. Be safe.